We've been talking about analysis of data. Now, I'm sure you're figuring out that in the main, what research is about really is about the collection and the analysis of data. Data that basically you have to gather relevant data and analyze it. Because if you've just gathered it and it's at your disposal, you are the only one who knows about it. It's of no use to all of us. So we are at our discussion really is now central around how do you analyze the data that you have gathered. And this gathering of data, which you have gathered from your sample that you have selected from a population, using a methodology or a method that is appropriate, and the instrument that is also tailor-made for that, you are now able to say, okay, let me look at what is in front of me and let this direct my analysis. Now, I'm going to use an example of if we talk about reliability. Once more, I want us to just go back and refresh our minds and our memories on reliability. That if you are currently collecting data using the instrument that you are using and really having tested and made sure that you eliminate all ambiguities on the instrument, if I take that instrument myself and I work on it, I should to a large extent really consistently come to the same conclusion. Because what reliability does as a measure in research is that it just really measures consistency or repeatability. It doesn't mean there would not be any levels of variations, but you can imagine if I follow your way of doing things and I get almost 80% wrong measurement out of it, it will raise eyebrows. But if I follow your method, your methodology, your approach, and use the instrument in the way that you used it, I should then be in a position to get almost 100%, if not 99.9% similar kind of observation. Because research is meant for that. And I use this example quite a lot because I would like to impress upon you that when you do research, one of the things that you are actually leading us into is that we can get to make decisions on the basis of that analysis that you are making. So research leads to decision making. Now, if you say to us, this is the situation, this is the kind of data that I've collected, analyzed, integrated, and this is what it means. As a company, for example, I may use that and take decisions. And if it so happened that your instrument was wrong, your methodology, your theory, everything around it was a suspect, I may actually end up making wrong decisions, which could also be fatal. In some instances, it could also lead to death or to wrong decisions in companies that may close companies. So in a way, the reason why your instrument should be empirically sound, amongst others, just to make sure that when you sit and you analyze and you say to me, 10 people in this room are behaving this way or that way, I should rather believe that what you are saying, it's true, and from an internal validity point of view, it will make sense. Now, I also want to make this example. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but maybe let's try to see if we can change tact a little bit. Now, we in South Africa, and I know that this is going to be an area that perhaps we could have various views about it. No problem. In South Africa, there is currently a discussion around who's the Lieutenant Commissioner Mhlanhla Mkhonazi, yes, Mhlanhla Mkhonazi. We generally clue to the kind of news that are coming out of that. I want to suggest that looking at the way in which the tribunal or the commissions and the committees are running the program, I would move it towards qualitative. Let's talk research now. I will move it towards qualitative research project in the sense that there is a gathering of qualitative data. Now, if I were to then ask any one of you on this platform as to what is it that the the project is aiming to establish? In other words, what is the objective of this research project? What are we trying to establish in terms of the variables and the units of analysis? Unfortunately, it's something that is still continuing, so there's still a lot we don't know. But from a purpose point of view, and I want to say that it sounds to me that it's going to be qualitative in nature, in that not everybody is going to participate in this program unless our names are mentioned. Not because I don't think you stand no chance of participating from the sample point of view. So it's non-probability. Let's go with that for now. We can argue, we can debate it, it's fine, but I would say it's non-probability. So some of us stand absolutely no chance of participating. It looks like there is a sample that is already set on who needs to be interviewed. And that information is going to be corroborated with a whole lot of documents. And I'm sure they're going to triangulate all that information at some point. But I want to ask this question. What is the reasons, or what is it that these committees and this tribunal, these commissions, are wanting to establish from what we know? Is there anybody who wants to volunteer to take it up? Chinane, so let's talk. I'm saying, give me what do you think is the purpose for this?
Of the Mkhonazi case?
Yeah, the inquiry. Now the inquiry is the part that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think they're trying to establish.
I want to hear you talking. I want to hear you talking about the variables and the hypothesis and all that as a researcher.
Yeah, I think they're trying to establish the truth behind, let's say, because it's political thing, behind the money which was not used properly. But in that case, many candidates, they're involved, so they don't want to mention them. So if you can put them on my side, because I'm using the qualitative research, I'll say in that commission, majority of them, they're involved, so they don't want to point each other, like they're protecting each other at the end of the day. So if one can, like,
no, I want to wait, maybe I did not frame my question right. I'm saying, what is the purpose? In other words, what is it that each of these tribunals is trying to establish? In other words, what are the variables that they're trying to establish? Yes, there is an issue of corruption, there's everything else, but I just wanted to say, this is what this research is about. Let's call it the research for now. What do you think it's the, what are they connecting, or what are they establishing, or what are they assessing or evaluating, whatever the word you want to use?
Oh, they're establishing how far the corrupt went.
Which corruption?
The corruption of the, let's say, the missing money, or the
I
money.
thought it was to do, I'm probably wrong then. I thought it was to do with trying to establish the link between the Minister of Police, the then Minister of Police, and the organized criminals, as per the allegation of Lieutenant Mkhonazi.
No, that's not the truth.
That's not the truth.
Yeah. Sorry, Prof. Okay, let's talk about the research.
Yeah, I No, I thought I thought the trigger, the point at which is we are this what we are trying to establish here is the relationship between the then Minister of Police Senzo Mchunu and the criminal underworld, because that allegation is put by Mkhwanazi. You say that's not the case. That's not the truth.
Okay. That's the truth, because the Minister of Safety and the criminals, they work together. However, the minister doesn't want to accept that.
No, that's not that. We are not there yet, because remember, we are not even at the point of cross-examination and minister coming to dispel. But at the heart of it, I'm saying, isn't the heart of it that, because remember the data, they're still gathering information. So the process of gathering information is not done. It will be done at the point when everybody else has had an opportunity to be interviewed and so on and so on. Remember, we said it's qualitative.
Okay. No, they're trying to get more more candidates,
witnesses.
Witnesses, yes.
Now,
so that
now
when
as a researcher, no, but Chinane, I'm saying, let's talk from research point of view. There's an allegation first. The participants are those that you're going to talk to either corroborate, dispel, and whatever. So the hypothesis is built on saying there is a relationship between the Minister of Police and the criminal underworld, which is the allegation put to the commission, to all of us by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. That's where we are. You and I don't know any better right now, do we?
Yeah, we don't.
Now, if you say that this is not a truth, I would say until such time that they've spoken to everybody else and they've also corroborated this data to the extent that it says so, we will not be able to conclusively say, yes, there is something between. We are not saying there's no corruption. Nobody says there's no corruption, right?
Yes.
And nobody doesn't say there's no wastage of money. But I want you to limit the discussion to the essence of the research that the commission is doing. And I'm saying, what do you think about the fact that is to establish whether indeed it is true that there is a relationship between, let's call him Senzo Mchunu, because we know the name now, otherwise, so the phenomenon is to establish whether there's a relationship between him and the criminal network.
Yes.
Now, that is the process that is currently being investigated. Now, as a researcher, I'm saying you are then going to have to identify who in this context, they would say witnesses, but as a researcher, I would say participants, right? You're investigating the right people who can give you the right information in that regard, isn't it?
Yes.
So what is your then overall view for now? Now that we know what is the purpose or what is the objective of the research, which is to establish the relationship, what do you think is going to be our internal validity? So in other words, what is it that is going to be us saying, this is now our conclusion at the end of the day? Should the conclusion then be, oh no, President Cyril Ramaphosa is corrupt and the ANC is corrupt and the DA has got somebody who's leaking information, or is it where we can, or are we going to look at conclusion and say, and I'm just trying to lead you here so that at least we get to the point quicker.
Okay.
Are we then going to say we want to hear at the end of the day, the conclusion should be, because that's the purpose, should be, yes, there is a relationship between Minister Senzo Mchunu and, let's say, Cat Madala and Brown's what? And then we are able to establish that there is a relationship, right? Let's say there is.
Yeah.
That's what we want the conclusion to tell us, isn't it?
Yes.
We may then want the conclusion to also tell us further and say, what is the nature of the relationship? Because the relationship on its own is not a problem. People do have relationship, isn't it?
Relationship, yes.
So we want to know, what is the
nature
of the relationship? A positive relationship, a corrupt relationship, a negative, whatever. So we want to know is their relationship corrupt? In other words, they've got a corrupt relationship. They've got a relationship where perhaps it leads to, stealing 2 billion from Tembisa hospitals and so on and so on. That's what you want to hear.
Yes.
Now what happens? And this is again, I'm using this hypothetically. What happens if the conclusion is saying that? Then we'll all be saying, yeah, well, we suspected that much because that's our hypothesis, right?
Yeah, but after we've gathered the information.
Yes, after we have spoken to many witnesses, and which in this case, like after you have interviewed a lot of participants qualitatively,
Yes.
because they ask them questions. The question will be, how do you know? Where? So now there is also corroboration of the data. So in other words, the support of the data by using videos and telephone, WhatsApp messages, and so on, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't that in research corroboration? But it's also corroboration in the legal space,
in the
I
legal
suppose.
department, yeah, it is.
So as a researcher, what are you doing? You are triangulating, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
So you are actually doing triangulation because you say, I don't want to just listen to Chinane's voice. I should also look at, okay, I see exchanges of WhatsApp messages here. I see a video that people are having lunch together. There are videos of Maumela, at 50th birthday with so and so, and the minister is there. There are those issues. So what are those issues meant to do? They are meant to corroborate the data.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm saying when we reach the conclusion, before you can tell us about everything else, we want to hear, is there a relationship? In other words, is there in your finding, are you able to tell us that you have reached a conclusion, that there is no doubt in your mind that there's a relationship between Senzo Mchunu and the criminal underworld, right? That's what you want to hear.
All right.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? That's the essence of what you want to hear first. Then we can get other findings, other findings that might be corruption. People are trying to shield this, do that, do everything else. But the first thing is that this is the relationship we have been able to establish it, and these are the number of people that are involved in this environment. That's internal validity.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
It does, Prof.
Now, I want you then to reflect on me. Now, let's say this is you conducting this research. You are not Justice Madanga, but now you are doing all that. Then I want you to come to a conclusion. What will be your process that you will be following? I mean, in the simplest of you don't necessarily need to be theoretical about it. I just want you to tell me the process of investigation and conclusion and interpretation.
Okay. The process of the investigation and the conclusion is that both of them, they know each other. So we have to do the data analysis. Yeah.
Okay, your conclusion is that when you say both, in this case,
Mkhwanazi and then the syndicate.
You said they know each other, but remember, Mkhwanazi is giving the allegation. He's the one who's alleging.
Not Mkhwanazi, sorry. No, not
Oh,
him.
you wanted to say the minister, okay.
The minister and then the syndicate, they know each other.
Oh, so you're saying their relationship, you said their relationship is up to no good.
It's more than, yeah.
Oh, okay. So now, if you're doing research yourself, and I ask you, what is the essence of your research? What would you say in your case now? So in other words, if the example that we were just given now on the reason why we are investigating the relationship between the minister and the organized criminals, right? To the extent that it compromises safety and security of the country is what we want to establish. And of course, the conclusion should tell us, do they know each other? And you are saying, in your conclusion, you are saying they know each other and they've done a lot more. And that, therefore, that's the conclusion. In your case now, in your own research now, what is the purpose of what you are investigating? Where, when you come to the conclusion, that's what you're going to conclude about, first and foremost.
Yeah, and therefore they compromise the safety and security of the country, which means the minister have to be removed from his position, and then the criminal candidate must be arrested. And then
okay. Oh, sorry. I meant your study, your personal
my
study
study.
now. Yeah.
Yeah,
How would you
on my
say?
or in my personal study, I'll come with a conclusion that the minister is like what do you call, has compromised into the safety and security of the country.
Oh, okay. No, I hear you. So that will be your study, and that will be possibly your conclusion on the matter.
Yeah.
All right. What are you currently studying? China, if you don't mind me asking, what is your topic?
Masters. Mine is under the infrastructure of the government.
No, what do you mean? Infrastructure of the government. That's like, it's so loaded.
Oh,
It's like, this is, I mean, government is, remember, is a structure, is what do they call it? The institution which is for the people, by the people, and all that. So now I'm thinking, when you say infrastructure of government, what, please dissect it for me.
oh, okay. My dissertation for that I'm studying at the moment is the because my topic
I want you to say it in the way that we were saying corners in Kunu and the criminal world in terms of the purpose and the internal validity.
Yeah, evaluation of the government building in Gauteng.
You're going to evaluate Gauteng buildings.
Yeah, evaluation of the security measures building in Gauteng.
Okay, say it again, because now it's changing a bit. So you're going to conduct an evaluation of security measures
in government buildings
in Gauteng.
In Gauteng, yeah. I limited it to be one province.
But what does evaluation? What would evaluation mean? I mean, if you go to a building, Tembisa Hospital, for example, it's a government building, is it not?
Yeah, I was dealing with let's say if it was Tembisa Hospital, I'll be dealing with Tembisa Hospital.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, yeah, is a Tembisa Hospital one of the Gauteng buildings, right?
Yeah, but I'm not doing that one.
Why not? Isn't that also a government building?
Yeah, it is, but mine, it was an evaluation of security measures at a government building in Gauteng, South Africa. So yes, I'm dealing with the state.
But I'm saying if when you define a government building in Gauteng, is Tembisa Hospital not in the portfolio of government buildings as part of the infrastructure?
It is.
So you said when you are talking about government building, you don't include it. Why not?
I do, but I choose only one particular building that I was investigating.
No, but that's not what your topic is saying. Your topic, unless I wrote it wrong, just repeat it again. You said it's evaluation of...
An evaluation of security measures at a government building in Gauteng, South Africa.
Yes, but I'm saying if you say that, then we can go to Springs.
Yes, we can.
If we go to Springs, we get the office of the municipality. It's a government building, right?
Yes.
Is it part of the portfolio that you are going to evaluate?
No.
Okay. If we go...
I chose one in Pretoria.
Oh my, so why don't you say so? Why is your topic not saying exactly that? Like in Pretoria, whatever the building is. What is the building that you are looking at? Because when you say Gauteng, we will go, we immediately pop up infrastructure for Gauteng, and it's thousands and thousands of them.
Because my topic before, I did mention the building, and then when I sent it for approval, the committee changed it to be like this.
The what? Who changed it?
The committee.
Oh, so there is,
Yeah.
but when you say Gauteng, well, but then educate me a bit here. Which building are we talking to? Steve Biko Hospital.
The one I'm evaluating at the moment.
The one that is going to be on your evaluation platform for research.
State security building.
Oh, so but why don't you say? Oh, you say they've changed it to say,
Yeah.
security measures at government building in Gauteng.
Yes.
Or it's a government, so it's basically an unnamed government building, for example.
No, on my topic, it was not named.
It was not named.
Named, but on my introduction, it's been named.
It's named as what? As government building, or as specifically as a.
Specifically as a Steve Biko Hospital, and then mention what happened to it, all those things, and the reason why I'm doing research on that one.
Okay. So where are you in terms of that, if I may ask? Your proposal?
I'm doing data analysis.
You have already collected data?
Yes.
How did you conduct the evaluation? I mean, evaluation has got, it's like an onion, really. It has got different layers. So how do you, when you say evaluation, what should we look at? In other words, how does the evaluation instrument look like?
For me, I've done the interview for face-to-face for 20 candidates.
No. And then the interview will be your collection of data. I'm fine with that. What I want to know is that when you are then saying I'm going to do I'm conducting an evaluation, isn't an evaluation on its own a process that needs to be done? The collection of data to us, I can understand that. I just want to know, do you have something that you're saying this is an instrument for evaluation?
Can you elaborate on that one?
Okay, like, evaluation, when you talk about unless maybe I'm getting it wrong, but when you say I'm conducting an evaluation, there will be ways within which an evaluation should be done theoretically, right? Because it can also be a scientific way of doing it. So in other words, if I am following on your methodology and I'm going to evaluate, what does the steps of evaluation entail? What is the process there?
Oh, okay.
You getting me?
Yeah, now I'm getting you. Yes. Okay, on this one, the steps that I followed, I've done the observation, and then I've done it's the observation, the interviews, the semi interviews, and then the last one is the document.
But how is an interview? Look, like I said, just get into my head now. How is an interview and an observation? Because those to me sounds like these are data collection instruments or mechanisms. In other words, you are now collecting data, which data then is going to tell you the outcome of, yes, when you analyze it, will tell you about the building, to the extent that there are security measures. I want to know the evaluation part. In other words, when I say I'm going to evaluate, if I walk into a house and I said I'm conducting an evaluation, it must be a process that I am doing, right? So I'm saying, what is the process? And it's scientific. I mean, it can be, you can evaluate the physical structure, you can evaluate the non-physical. I want to know, what is the process to that you call this is evaluation? Because evaluation on its own, am I making sense to you? Maybe not.
Maybe not, you are not. But for me, I did evaluate the entry and the exit of the building.
Well, what do you do when you evaluate? So now here is an entrance. you are evaluating it, right? Let's talk an entrance, for example. This is the entrance environment of the building. What do you do when you evaluate it?
Okay, for the entrance, I have to check whether the entrance is safe for the people. It's got the CCTV, it's got the
but that is that
access.
do you call, why do you call that evaluation? Because for me, it sounds like you're assessing the physical features of the structure. It's like it's an assessment. You're conducting an assessment. So let's say there is no CCTV camera and it's supposed to be there, right? Now you walk in and you say, I don't see the CCTV camera here. You call that an evaluation, or will that be an assessment?
That's an
assessment.
Let's say I was doing more of an assessment and then putting the conclusion what they have to be, the measure that
I see.
To be done.
So you're actually assessing. You're actually assessing what needs to be in place. Is it in place or not? Now, what do you use to check that?
Like I said, I was doing the observation, like I was working on the premises. I get the permission first, and then I was walking around using my observation checklist.
Yeah, but I'm saying what informs the things that you're checking? What is the authority on that? So in other words, if you walk and you get to the gate and you say, okay, I see the gate does have a CCTV camera is in place. What tells you that should be the case? What is the source?
No, it depends on the building. And not all the building can have all the access control, but depending on the state of the building.
Yeah, but I want that dependency. What is it that tells you this one must have, that one must not have, and so on? Because remember, you are doing an assessment. You need to say to me, I need to get an understanding that if you walk to UNISA and you're assessing UNISA, what informs UNISA, for example, that this, I'm telling them, oh, but your gate is like this, is supposed to be like that. What is that you're using as a checklist is developed from some authority, isn't it? It comes from something. So you can't just, if you find my house has got no gate and you say, yeah, there must be a gate here, I'm going to ask you, but who said there must be a gate here? What do you say? You see, that's what I'm trying to get to say, when you are going to do that assessment now, what informs that assessment? In other words, the checklist. What informs the checklist?
Prof, I don't know what to say.
Is there legislation maybe that says there might be legislation, there might be policies, there might be an understanding of the international standards that says it's almost like when you build a house. If you follow the authority on housing, I can't remember what it's called. It will say maybe a house will have this foundation. It must have windows that are opening and so on and so forth. This is what I'm asking as to authority, because if you say I'm assessing security measures in your building, and you then say, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, the first question they can ask you is, but who said we must have that? What then is your answer?
Maybe I'll say to prevent burglary or to prevent crime in the building.
Yeah, but what informs the or is there no, or are you maybe saying there is no law, policy, rules that says this is how the building must be? For example, if we were to take the building we are talking about.
There are more laws to govern the building, and then also the laws to govern a particular place.
Yeah, so you then are you translating those laws into a checklist?
No, not really, because I need to be governed by the laws.
Okay, so please, yeah, I'm still not with you yet. You are now going. Let's call this building A. It's a building A for example. Now you go to that building because they said no, it's fine. You can come and do the evaluation, which we can agree from what I'm gathering is that it's not like that deep very deep evaluation. It's more like an assessment. Now you find that they do not have a window. My question is that the fact that they don't have a window in your assessment might be because you're doing physical assessment, right? In other words, the actual physical structure. So when there's no window in this building, in this A building, and in your assessment, you'd say there's no window because you can see there's no window. What then becomes an issue there for you? Should there be a window?
Yeah, that's why I have to state the national building regulation that it must have a window, reason being 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, then there is a national building regulation that says there must be a window. So you basically say you are now not in compliance with the national regulation because this building, according to the regulation, there must be a window and there's no window here. Or there must be 10 windows, but there's only 5.
Yes.
That's what I was asking as to the authority.
Sorry.
Because you have to, I mean, if you say, I need to have 5, given the size of this building, maybe you need to have 10 windows. But because you've got 5, you are not, in compliance with the regulations that you need to put extra 5 windows, like your occupational health and safety issues, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking as to what is the authority that you are using? Because if you just say, well, there's no window here, I would say, yeah, but who said I need a window? Now there's a regulation that said there must be a window. For this kind of a facility, you need water, for example. And this is the size of the sanitation that needs to be in place, for example. I'm looking at that. Now, what about the issues of risks, maybe risk management or risk-related dangers? You also look at that?
Yeah, I do.
So you are now doing the assessment using...
And then using the National Building Regulation plus the Act of Occupational Health and Safety Act.
Oh, okay. All right. Now it makes sense. Now this whole discussion makes sense to me. So you will then have a set of regulations and the legislation that says you need to have this, maybe proper light. Let's talk lighting. You look at the lighting and you say, according to this is the lighting that must be there. But when I test this, so that's what I was saying. If you are then going to test lighting, you surely don't use your naked eye, do you?
Yeah. Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof.
You do use your naked eye. Or you use an instrument.
Normally on my side, because I've done engineering, I use the instrument.
So what I want to know is that for your research, when you're then conducting the assessment or the evaluation, are you then using instruments or what do you use? You said, okay, one of which is observation.
No, I use the observation, I use the instrument because I need to be 100% sure.
So what kind of instrument would you say, for example, I don't know, maybe you're testing the lifts. Lifts are a problem. Maybe not where you are in building A, but generally in structures, the lifts are too old. So what then do you use there? Or you can use observation, how long you wait for the lift to come or what do you use? And remember, I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I just want to test and probe and make sure that there's an understanding by students that when you do research, the conclusions are going to be very interesting because those conclusions can be challenged.
Okay.
So what you use, let's say a lift, for example, let's say you're going to, you're testing everything else at the entrance. Now you are at the lift level. What then do you use?
Normally at the lift, I just get inside the lift and then I press second floor, first floor, and then press stop immediately. Once it doesn't stop or it makes a noise, which means the lift is not safe for the people according to the Act of Occupational Health and Safety.
You go to the Act and say, according to the rules governing lifts,
yes,
this is what the lift must behave. This is the behavior of the lift, and your lift is not behaving in line with this,
Yeah.
therefore, you know, I'm putting this in the assessment that your lifts are not in compliance.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you say normally, because there's a difference between saying normally and say this is what I've done. I followed this. Because remember, now you said you're analyzing data. When you say normally, is it how you would have collected data, or this is just your normal, in the normal course of you understanding how things should be?
No, no, it's not normally. Just I haven't done the lift thing. It's just I was answering the answer according to what I've done as a data collection, and now I'm trying to do data analysis.
Okay, so let's just go to the security measures. When you say security measures to a man in the street or a layman, they would want to know what are you looking at? Because security measures is broad, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
So in your case, what is the limitation of the security measures then in a building?
In a building, it was the exit, it was the entry and the exit, and then the CCTV, the lighting of the premises, and the infrastructure itself.
Oh, so those are, so you're focusing on the entrance, the exit, the lighting, and the physical infrastructure.
Yeah, and the CCTV.
And the CCTV. So those are the areas that you are going to make conclusion around.
Yes.
Now, physical structure will be quite complicated. Now, when you look at the physical structure and you look that in the context of security measures, what are we talking about here?
Okay. On the physical structure itself, remember our buildings are very old. They haven't
well,
been,
not yours. You're a researcher.
But normally all the buildings, all the government buildings are very old.
Is that what literature is telling us?
Yeah, they are very old, and they need to,
because they have been built many years ago. I hear you. That's what you. Let's take that from the literature that says, literature review that says, according to Matsila, government buildings are old because they've been built in many years during colonialism, apartheid, and so on. So they haven't been refreshed. I take that. Okay.
So now,
this building A, how does it fit that profile?
So in my research, I said building A is no longer fit for people to use it based on regulation 1234 chapter what. So it's better for the government for now to try to implement, to build their own building rather than to have the old one. Let's say, yeah, let's say for now.
So you're finding on the structure of let's call it A. Your finding on this structure is that it's too old, therefore it doesn't fit to be occupied. But this is now informed by your assessment, because you have not yet analyzed the information, remember?
Not yet.
So what then informs that conclusion?
That's why I came to listen today. Or how do I analyze this information that I've gathered?
Oh, okay.
All of them.
But you gathered information, the physical structure, on the entrance, on the exit, on the lighting, and the CCTV. You said.
Yeah.
So let's take. So the regulations. The regulations will say this is how an entrance should be, or where do you get the characteristics of an entrance and an exit? Is it also from the regulation?
Yeah, it's also from the regulation, and then from the Occupational Health and Safety Act is also there.
Okay. All right. Now, when you look at the physical structure, what are the things that you're looking at other than the ones that you've just mentioned now? Let's take a physical structure now. What are the, because it sounds broad to me, I need to narrow it down before we get to the analysis.
Okay, on the building itself, I just look for the cracks, if there are lots of cracks on the building. And then I just look, and then I just look for the peeling of the building, especially if it's a double story or 3 stories. So which means I need to use the stairs to double check everything, because sometimes you find the cracks in between and people are not aware of it.
Oh, so you physically doing that work
Yeah,
of checking the physical structure.
yeah.
Now, you use any instrument or do you use your naked eye? I mean, a crack you can see at times, it's just visible.
Yes, and sometimes we use this instrument. What do you call? I
Do you
forgot
take
it.
pictures?
I do take pictures, and then this one that you put on the brick wall,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
So
yeah,
those are you mentioning those in your methodology? Because this the discussion that I was having with you is about the methodology. In other words, how do you do this work?
yeah, I did mention them.
Oh, you did mention the pictures, because pictures is qualitative, isn't it? It's collection of data via pictures. You're you're taking
Quantitative.
pictures. Isn't that a collection of data?
Yeah, because I'm using the qualitative method.
Yeah. So how do you the pictures how do you put them into your narrative or into your story?
Professor,
Because
today I wanted to learn that. How do I put them there? That's why I wanted to ask you the question at the end of this. How do I put this data together? Because
oh
yeah, because some of the candidates, they were saying yes, they want this one, and some they say this, and then I'm doing the qualitative. I'm not doing the mixed method. So now it
yes,
doesn't make sense to
but
me.
I'm saying although you're doing qualitative, taking those pictures is part of your data collection
Assessment.
method.
Yes,
Did you mention that in your collection chapter or in
on my
your
collection,
collection
yeah, I did
hmm?
mention them, but now it doesn't make
that
sense.
you used the camera where you took some pictures which you're going to
Put
annex
them
or
on
you're
my
going to put in the report like they do
essay.
in court. I mean, do you hear when in the Madanga Commission they said there's a picture, and now that picture has to be properly annexed
Yes, the
because it's a
picture is
picture that tells the same story, that there are cracks on the left, on the right, in the middle, somewhere on the first floor, second floor, and so on, that demonstrate the defects, the
yes
security defects of the physical
of
structure.
the pictures. Yeah.
But now I want you to tell me, how do you connect the physical structure with the security measures? Because at some point you need to say, how does that then talk to the security measures? If there are
Okay.
cracks, how do you connect that to the security measures?
Because I was doing the interviews on the candidate,
Yeah.
and then doing the
Oh,
observation.
you also did. Oh, okay. Wait. So you also
Yeah,
did interview
interview the candidate.
participants.
Yes.
Who are these? Who are these people that you are interviewing? Who are these
The
participants?
employees of that particular building.
Yeah, but is it just general employees, or you have identified specific ones relevant to what you want to do?
I identify some are managers, some are supervisors, and then some are people who are security officers doing patrols on the building.
Oh, so it's almost like a combination of different levels of employees, not like specific level, rank, and so on. So it's mixed. It's some kind of a
Yes,
mixed combination of participants.
yeah, but the people who are relevant to what I want.
How do you determine that we are relevant? What
Uh,
makes us
okay,
relevant?
there's a structure that deals with there's a structure called logistics. It deals with
Okay.
infrastructure. It deals with infrastructure,
So
and then there's a
these participants that you're talking about, you used a particular way to select them,
yeah,
which is a structure, kind of a structure
yeah, a
within
manager
the.
from logistics. It
Mhm.
should be a manager from logistics who knows about the infrastructure, a supervisor from logistics who knows about the infrastructure, and then the security manager who patrols the
Yeah,
building,
yeah,
which means the security manager is the person who knows like the CCTV is working, is
yeah,
working or not working, the alarm system is working or not working, the lights during the night, this side they're on or they're off.
yeah. Oh, I see. But this is a set of people that you have identified, and then the employees. These are employees, or you had additional.
their employees.
The beneficiaries, like a guy who lives in the office and come in, and those were not part of your participants, right? Or they were?
No, it's only the people who, managers. The person is like you, prof. You go, you come back in the morning, and then they give you the reports. So I would come to you, and then I ask,
did you then evaluate or assess the reports? If you say these people are responsible, I would imagine a manager of infrastructure would have a responsibility to report defects when they occur. The supervisor might have a responsibility to report defects if there are any. The security who you say is patrolling might also have a responsibility to report deficiencies. Yes. Did you receive some information on records from them, not only by way of talking to them, but some generalized information? I don't know how it works but I would imagine that each one of them will have so as a database to say this building was done in 1905 when Paul Kruger was alive, but then it was changed, renovated, the lighting did you get something along those lines that says, yeah, well, because it can also frustrate some people when they report and nothing gets done, because it's also about power situation.
Yeah, on the security side, they've got the occurrence book that they have to write each and everything in the every day.
Did you look at did you then assess the occurrence book as part of your database
analysis? Yeah, I did look at their occurrence book, and then when I interviewed them, there's a question that they need to answer, like what is their frustration, because they're reporting one thing every day and then it's not being done. So they did write their frustration on that one.
Okay, let's take an occurrence book, because that's now you as a researcher now. You know, the occurrence book. What it say? It says something about the entrance, right? That there's an issue with the entrance or with the crack, because you were talking about peeling, crack, and something like that, right? So when I write it as a security, who am I writing it for?
Okay, as a security officer, you're gonna write on the occurrence book, and then the security manager will come and then read the occurrence book. If there's something that needs to be reported to the logistics supervisor, then they'll write another form to say at the exit and then entry, we have a problem of 1, 2, 3, 4. It needs to be fixed, and then send it to the logistics. And the logistics will take that and then send it to the manager at the main gate. The security officer, they've got the problem of 1, 2, 3, 4 that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
And then the logistics, because they've got the people who can fix that, let's say, that particular problem, then they send the people to fix it. And then they send
now now my question to you is, as a researcher, did you go through those instances? For example, let's take one example where a security is reported in occurrence book 1 that there's a peeling wall on the left side of the building, below or whatever, right? So that is an incident recorded, isn't it? It's an occurrence. They put it in the record.
Yes.
And then remember you said you have identified that security measures for you, it will be physical, entrance, exit, lighting, CCTV cameras, and so on. That's what you've limited your study on. Now I'm saying you've got an incident now, which you have to analyze, which is the occurrence. Because remember, that is a database, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you have not looked into that in detail, you may want to, because it's something that you need to analyze. Because if the security reports it once, whenever that they report, do they have to report it every day when they patrol, or at what point do they stop reporting it? You understand?
Okay. When I ask them, or like,
you don't have to answer this. I'm saying, you have to analyze that to say, because if I've reported it, like I'm saying to you, do you know at what point do you stop reporting it?
Okay, yeah.
Because you have reported it once or twice, It has gone all the way. You said it will go to supervisor. A form will go to another person. It will go to the logistics manager. Do I have to report it even at that point every day because it's an occurrence? Or does the occurrence then mean that once I've reported it in that particular year, maybe a financial year, or maybe there is a limitation as to how often or how, what you may want to know what is the process and the procedure and the law says about that. Because as a security, I might be patrolling every day, isn't it?
Yes.
It's my job.
Yes.
So when I patrol and I see the same thing every day, does it then mean from the occurrence book I'll write it, or now that I've written it, at what point do I then say, no, this one at least I've written about it. I don't have to report about it anymore because there's now been escalated.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the logistics manager, you may want to know about the escalation as to at what point does a reported load, that has not been bought, is closed as an escalation. So in other words, the fact that I've reported that my office number 13 has got a globe that doesn't work because you said at night they need to look at lighting. And remember, proper lighting is also a good security measure. So now, when they then report to you as a logistics manager that the lights are not working in room 13, at what point do you then say, well, I've taken note of your report and you don't have to report it anymore? That's you. You are a researcher. Remember, you're investigating all that.
Yes.
What you may not have asked those questions to the logistics manager. That's not the point. What I'm trying to show you is that, do you see why you are also looking in the value chain? You are assessing the value chain as to, here is the occurrence, it goes to the next level, and the next level. Obviously, they may or they may not have timelines. I mean, you may, that may be a finding, isn't it?
Okay. Yes.
For security measure, because you may say, you don't see a finding that say, you don't see a timeline that says, if a security official has reported, he might not know by when you should expect something to be done. And when you interview him, he might actually tell you, no, look, we just report these things and nobody ever attends to them. What is he saying? He might actually be saying to you that I don't know the turnaround time for solving this thing. So I just put them in the occurrence book, or I'm not aware that there is a turnaround in this company for certain things to be attended to. What does the regulation say then? You understand?
Yeah.
Is there anything in the regulation that says when you have reported these kind of issues, at least within number of days, something must happen, in which case you are able to say you are not in compliance with the turnaround time? If not, if it's not available, you might then say, well, maybe you need to develop it because it looks like it can also improve on the turnaround of solving, because security measures are critical. Are we making sense to you, China?
Yeah, you are, Prof. I was not aware of that.
So your finding might actually be along the lines where you say, because you speak to a security, the lowest level, and you say, look, I do patrol every day. So I would know which room is dark, which room is going darker. And remember, as they patrol, they also look at the dark alleys, the darker areas, and they look at it from a point of security. Now, because you are assessing you are evaluating the security of the building, then lighting becomes important, and you say so yourself. And CCTV becomes important. Now, if the security say, well, they've installed CCTVs, but the last time they worked is when they were installed by the IT person. Now, he's actually giving information that you are going to have a finding on, isn't it?
Yeah, like whether they've done the maintenance or not.
Yes. So as a researcher, all those things are part of your observation, and all those things matter in your analysis. Not only what you have been told, because what you have been told needs to be corroborated with your own observation, and as I said, with the pictures, and you can also use the pictures to confirm that what the security is talking about is indeed true, because as a primary source of information, a collection of data yourself, you now went there, you took a picture what are you doing? You're corroborating the data at your disposal. And you are therefore not only corroborating it, but it's also part of your triangulation. So in case somebody wants to deny it, what do you say? You're able to say, well, maybe it has been fixed, but on this day, at this time when you were there, doing a physical, it's almost like doing inspection in loco. You saw that there was some peeling of the walls. Now, what are you doing? You're just making sure that the information that you're going to make conclusions on makes perfect sense when you analyze it.
Okay, Prof. Oh, thank you very much.
You're tired?
No, I'm not tired. No, I thank you because you have given me more information that I was not even aware of, So I think now I can
do
the analysis.
Is it helpful in a way?
Yeah, it does. A lot.
The problem with the problem, and I'm using the word problem because this is the wrong way of speaking, but because you are using qualitative, the depth and the wealth of the data that you've collected is what is important. And therefore, to put it together as an analysis is the most interesting part that we are talking about now. Okay. So you're sitting with wealth of information about this building, the roofing, the windows, the doors, the entrance, the exits, the CCTV cameras, the physical look and feel of it, and so on. So basically now, it's like, how do I report? And remember now, here is the other interesting element of your research, Chinan. When you then say, this is what I've done, so I can confirm that this building is dilapidated, is not suitable for inhabitation by human beings. The lighting is poor, the CCTV cameras are not working, the maintenance program is not in place. It is a security risk, but it's also an occupational health hazard. The walls are peeling off. It was at a climate when it wasn't raining, so you were not able to assess whether, it is not damp and stuff. What do you think the executive of that building is going to say about your research, finding now?
Now they'll close the building.
But you see why what I'm trying to get to is that you need to be truthful as a researcher and be informed by data rather than how you and I feel.
Yes.
Because the implication is, you see what you've just said, they will close the building. That means there could be a decision that is taken on the strength of your research. So you better make sure that the work that you're doing as research is absolutely empirical. It's research informed by, and you are driven by data, not by how you feel and what you think. Do you understand? So that's what is important, because research can lead to making decisions, because remember, it's about improvement. It's about making better decisions in our lives. So you cannot say, oh, no, it's no longer suitable for inhabitation, because then the landlord might commission a different research, and they may start asking questions about your methodology. They may start asking you the difference about how did you collect data? How did you look at the occurrence? Did you look at the flow of our workflow? Did you understand now what are they doing? They're actually trying to review your research to prove to whoever that is a decision maker that your research is weak. It's not worth relying on. I hope that makes sense.
You do, Prof. Believe me, you do make sense.
Your neutrality, neutrality as a researcher is that you need to say, this is what the information is, nothing else, nothing more for me. So I am just informed by this, because remember, you got permission. Remember, these people are anonymous. Remember, you're protecting their identity, but you remain firm in terms of your findings. So your findings need to be fair, but also be considerate of the observations that might be where you are wrong, the limitations. Where you are wrong, you need to then say, well, I did not do this, I did not do that. Now, that is why I was saying you need to be clear that your research was only focusing on the elements that you are going to be reporting on, so that then the landlord has got an opportunity to say, well, yeah, but remember, he did not look at this, he did not look at that, and that is true, because their research might not have looked at those elements.
Okay.
It had limitations. But those that you looked at, you are able to, because you can't say close the building on the base of lighting. Close the building. You can't go to that conclusion, right? You can't go to, you'll actually go to a conclusion that says there are challenges related to lighting. There are challenges related to the cameras that are not working. I mean, they may say to you, a non-working camera would not warrant the closure of a building.
Okay.
A globe that takes about 3 months to buy, it does not say we must close the building. So they might also, you see where the challenge can come from.
Yeah.
It's about what makes this building a hazard that you're saying life can be lost. A globe might not make a person lose life per se, but it just makes the lighting problematic. The cracks, they may actually say, yeah, there are cracks, but if you really look at the cracks and so on, I mean, you would know from an engineering point of view, some cracks are fillable. They may not be so substantive that you say, oh, but this building has even shifted in its original structure, for example. I don't know how it works, but so that's where you need to be extremely cautious how you handle data that you are going to analyze.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have exhausted that. Let's see if there's a comment, a question from anyone here. Non-talkers, you don't have a comment, right? Or a question.
I have a question. Which tool did she use to evaluate the building?
Which
data collection tool did she use?
No, she said she said for her it was actually an assessment. She said she just used the national regulatory framework as to what must be there. Basically, it's like a compliance assessment to me. It looks like she conducted as compliance assessment informed by some security measures, which she limited them to what she spoke about. But I think I hear your question. Okay, go ahead.
The participants, what were the questions posed to the participants? Because I think I heard when she was saying they want this, so the recommendations or the requirements that she got from the 20 people or so that she spoke to were differing. So did she have an interview template? She said she made them one, conducted 20. Was it one individual or it was a group?
Yeah. We can ask her that. You're still able to hear us, Chinaz?
Yeah.
Just deal with that.
On that one, I interview individual 20 participants, but with the same questions.
20? That's a lot.
That's what my supervisor said. Yeah, 20 participants, same questions, but different people.
Okay, how many questions did you have? You don't have to have an exact number.
12 questions.
Wow. Did you put all those 12 questions to all the 20 participants?
Yeah, I did.
So each of these participants answered, and the one participant answered 12 questions, right?
Hold on. Yeah, it's 12 questions, yes.
Per participant.
Yeah, it's per participant, but when they answer, some they answer differently. So that's why I was asking now, because I was using the qualitative method. Now, and you find that the answers is different, which I have to use the mixed method. How do I do it? Because on the literature review, I didn't put
it. Yes, I hear you. We will come to. I'm saying let's deal with one thing at a time. I mean, 12 questions per participant, and of course, naturally, some participant can answer 2 questions, at the goal. Fine, I can relate to that. But
Okay.
that gives us almost like what 240 elements that you're going to be listening to. It's a volume. When you're recording the answers, how were the answers given? Sorry, don't talk because I'm taking over this part at least. You will come back. How were you recording the answers?
No, I was writing down everything. Like I'll ask first question, and then they will respond, and then I'll write the answers down.
Oh, you're doing field notes. So you're making notes.
Yeah.
Wow. How big is it? 240 is a lot.
It's not that big. And the question is how to put them together, because some the answers positively, some they said differently.
Okay, give me an example. Give me an example of where they were structured, because from what I'm hearing is that it was structured. It was each one of them received the same set of questions.
Section B of mine. It started with section A. Is the interview guide, like the demographic data is fine. That one is different. Section A. Section B, I was dealing with the security control measures. So that they have to answer 4 questions. And then section C, I was doing security risk and threats.
Give me one example of the question that you asked on section B.
On section B, what is your understanding of the term security control measures?
The term security control measures.
Control measures, yes.
Okay, so you wanted to get their understanding of the security control measures.
Yes.
And what did you have in mind? What is it that you are looking for?
No, I was looking for whether they know the security measures that should be in place on a particular building. Yes.
Okay, so you would say, so if I'm working in the security or in the logistics, I need to know the security control measures, right? This is the expectation. Yeah. So basically you're looking at whether they know the law, they understand the policies, the rules, and so on.
Yes, whether maybe in their organization they do have the policies and procedure in place.
Oh, okay. So now, if I am answering that question, it is more going to be narrative, right? It's more like me going to talk and you listen, right?
Yeah, and
because the question is open. It's a qualitative, open-ended question. What do you understand about the security control measure? So when we start, what do you do? Then you start noting everything else as I'm speaking.
Yes.
And you have to note that 20 times.
Yep, yes.
How long did that take?
Normally per day, I was doing 3 candidates.
Okay. So by the time you get to question 12, you're not asking section A, right? Because you're not saying are you male, female, other, and so on. That you just fill up.
Yeah, because the other one, section C, was security risk and threats.
Okay.
So which I have to ask them, like, what security risk and threats?
How many questions did you have there?
It was only 3 questions.
So you have 4 in B, you have got 3 in C, and how many did you have in A?
Then the section D is the legislation framework.
How many questions?
3.
Okay.
And then section E, I've got only 2 questions, like the improvement of security risk control measures.
Oh, so you have already identified the themes within which you're going to build the report.
Yeah.
That, in section B is about this section. So demographics will be A, and then the control will be B, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did separate them already.
Oh, I see. But that then is going to make your analysis, cumbersome, but easier, if you like, because now you fit in the answers into the sections already.
Yeah.
Okay. Nontokozo, please go ahead. I've taken over your
No, I'm
session.
answered. Maybe non. I'm impressed of the labor that went in, and it's
I think it's a
impressive.
beautiful. What I like is that she has already divided the themes into, this one talks to the control, this one talks to and I'm measuring knowledge here. I want to know what is the understanding of the responsibility and the knowledge of the legislation. And then E particularly goes into legislation. If you don't mind, Chinan, on the legislation, what is the question?
Okay, on the legislation, I asked them, question one was, what policies and procedures are in place for management in your organization? And then they write so many policies here: Criminal Procedure Act, Access Control Act, policy. Yeah, on this one, yeah, she only wrote
so the
two.
security. So the
And
security
then on the,
people those security guys will know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they know. Some they put so many acts, but on this legislation, some they put Protection of Personal Information Act, Protection of Security Industry Regulation Act, Protection and Combating of Corruption Act. On the, I said what legislation are applicable to security.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the last one was, do your organization apply this applicable legislation?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And then
okay. So
they were saying
so
yes.
you know the legislation, and you know that you want to know. They must know the legislation, and they must know the level of application of that legislation.
Yeah. Some they were saying yes, they do know about them and they do apply them. Some they were saying no, they don't know about that. So that's the reason, and I think that's confusing me, because some they don't know about them.
But it's fine. That's what we're going to cover in your research. So of the 20, if you were to look at the 20 in the demographics, how does it look?
On the demographic, yeah, it looks good, because majority of them is top management. They've got, yeah.
Oh, but your demographic, is it looking only on management levels, or there are other elements that you're also looking at?
I was looking at participate details, organization, where are you coming from, the age group, the work experience, like the qualifications.
Yeah, and then how does it look then?
And then the characteristics of the participants.
You said looks good.
Yeah, it looks good, because the majority of them, they've got BTech in forensic, they've got masters, some they've got PhD, I'm not disappointed on that one. I was undermining them, but I found out they shocked me. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for sharing your wonderful story. I think you now figured out how analysis is going to be done, because you're sitting with data now, and some of which is pictures. I'm just interested in how, those pictures, you probably captured them in your data collection, because in the midst of you writing what people are saying and then going around and taking pictures and all that, sounds a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, believe me.
It sounds a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, because my supervisor said I must do it. So I didn't have any choice. So I was collecting all the data.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Now let's go to, because now you have dealt with the most important part of what I was going to talk about. But let me just remind this platform again, that whatever you do, and maybe just using the example of Chinane now, is that she's not doing research just for the sake of it. She's doing it to say to, whoever that is going to read the report. Let's say I'm the landlord, or I'm the inspector who's interested in checking the level of compliance. She needs to make some conclusions And these conclusions that she's going to make are going to have to be conclusions that are related to what she said is the objective that she set for herself at the beginning. So when you do research and you're making conclusions, you have to make conclusions on a number of areas that you started off with. You need to use to look at your units of analysis. So in other words, what am I analyzing here? I'm looking at the compliance of the security measures, compliance with security measures by this government, this building. So you're taking the building. So the building to me seems to be the focus, not necessarily the people, because the knowledge of these people that are maintaining and looking after this building are the ones who are going to either make this building compliant or not, or non-compliant. So you need to say, having done all this good work, having looked at all this that needed to be looked into from a security measures point of view, and having identified that you can't look at security in its entirety, then she needs to say, I'm making conclusions, and my conclusions are going to be based on what does it say about this at the entrance. So I'm looking at her B, which she was saying is to do with the knowledge. So you may find that I'm expecting her to say, just on entrance alone, what are the rules? What are the policy imperatives? What should obtain in terms of the security measures at the entrance? Now, her conclusion, therefore, should be related to how an entrance is supposed to be, as opposed to what is the situation then. Because basically you are comparing to say this is how a reception should be, and having looked at this is not in compliance. That's at the reception level. She's not going to generalize and just say, oh, the entire building, because it might be that the entrance point has got some level of compliance, which might not be the same as the exit point. Well, I don't know whether the entrance and the exit are the same. Now, when she also looks at B, she's then going to say, just on exit alone, what is supposed to be? I just feel that she did a lot of work. It might also just be quite complicated at some point, because it's it's entrance, and she has to say, what about entrance B, C, D, and E? Now, I'm just imagining, what do you say about the entrance B, C, D, and E, which is the sections that she has sort of divided. Now she's going to say, what about the exit? The exit might also have certain standards against which it must be measured. And then you're going to look at it from B, C, D, and E. Then it might be a different ball game, because the entrance might be better or the exit might be easier. So they may not be the same. Then the next thing is she's going to go into the CCTV situation. Now, when she goes in the CCTV situation, she might then say, what does it say? What does the regulations say? Maybe it's B, C, D, E. Again, she's going. So the level of variables and details that she's going to handle, it's a lot. Then she's going to go into the other elements, your lighting. Maybe in lighting, it might be reception lighting. What does it say? Is the reception lighting supposed to be the same as the lighting in other areas of an assessment, like your exit, like the areas which are also connected, the CCTV cameras, and so on. So that's basically what it is. So there will be a huge amount of data that she'll be sitting with, which then has to fall within that B, C, D, and E. But then what makes it even more complicated for her is that if you look at B, she says she now has 4 questions. Now, it's a lot. 4 questions is a lot. And if you're going to ask 4 questions to 20 people, it's quite a lot of information that you're going to sit with, just on B alone. Then you go to C. She's got 3 questions. All those questions were posed to all the 20. On D, you've got 3 questions. All those questions are going to go to the 20, and so on and so on. So that's a lot of information that she's sitting with right now for an analysis. So, but at the end of the day, when she looks at all these areas, she's not going to generalize, because you may find that on B, just on the entrance, there might be good physical or security measures that are up to standard. But then on the exit, there might be a challenge. Similarly, when you look at the physical structure, there might be that maybe the outside, the look of it from the outside is not good, but maybe the inside is not that bad. And again, when you say something is good or bad, or somewhere, there has to be a measurement as to, when you say it's good, what makes a structure good? Now, those measures need to come into play, because you can't simply say peeling equals bad, right? I mean, it's very sore on the eye, doesn't look good, but it may be that the actual physical strength of the structure may not be a challenge. So again, it could come to different conclusions. I hope you understand why internal validity is important. Internal validity is, you have no doubt that all this, that when you put all of them together, the structure, I mean, the infrastructure of this one building is deteriorated to a level where it needs to be shut down. If you make that conclusion, you are making that conclusion because you are fully informed by the witness, I mean, the evidence that is before you. But you can't just use it, and if you have not gone into details of it, because, as I said, it leads to decision making. Now, if you make such conclusion in a rush or being emotional, you know, it can just be taken on, and they said, but how can you make a conclusion, the CCTV cameras, as if it's the entrance, as if it's the exit? Maybe the cameras are installed at different points. Are we talking about the entire CCTV cameras structure, or are you looking at the particular one? Again, those are the kind of questions that you may be confronted with if you make conclusions in a rush. But there's something that we spoke about last week, which I think is still relevant today, is that when you're sitting with data, which is what I'm hearing Chinane saying, she's sitting with that data now. Don't rush into analyzing it, because there's a lot of it. I mean, from what we're discussing now, we're saying sort it. You know, these databases can also be very helpful to you. Go back and look at whether there is a willingness for you to look at the occurrence books, because those could be databases that give you an indication of how long does it take, or how quick does it take for problems to be solved. You know, so if you don't have that database, you can actually get it. The whole business process, how is it being mapped in the organization? How does it take? How long does it take to move from A to B and C and D and so on? You know, in terms of the escalation, the recording. Now you need all that data to be, put into some kind of a software. So because it's a huge amount of data, I would imagine that you are now sitting on a spreadsheet and loading it in with 20 participants, maybe P1 being participant number 1, up to P20. Now, when I look at that, I'm like thinking, wow, so you'll be sitting with P1 on all the 20 questions. You're going to sit with P2, all 20 questions. P3, so you'll probably be sitting with about 240 on your spreadsheet, because that represents the participants. I mean, you didn't stop anywhere, and each one of them had the same number of questions from what you said. That's huge. So you just need, to work on the spreadsheet now. And remember, before you do the analysis, you need to have sorted out all that information so that you've got it, on the go. But also the pictures, as to these pictures, which aspect of your variables, or are you looking into? Is it pictures for physical structure. And if you've got questions that you ask on the physical structure, that means then it's questions and answers, but also supported by those pictures. So again, is to make sure that you sort of upload those pictures as quickly as possible, because they may just be amongst your available data, data set that you're going to analyze. Now, there is no method of dealing with missing data that is free of disadvantages. So when you work with data, every system that you are going to work with, which is, insofar as missing data is concerned, you can avoid that. But there is a system, there is a software that is very popular called the statistical package for the social sciences, known as SPSS. It's very, very popular. I always say check with the university and with your promoter if it's available. Your situation sounds to me that you can also, although you collected this data qualitatively, but it looks like there are elements that you can actually convert quantitatively. For example, you're talking about the demographic data, where you know how many of these are managers. Out of the 20, maybe 15 are managers. How many of these are male, female? How many of these are 10, 5, So it sounds to me that there can be that aspect of your analysis that can also come in, which would just demonstrate how you collected this demographic data for yourself. So SPSS is one, and just check if the university does have maybe the license, because it's also useful for analysis. Statistical analysis system, especially for qualitative information data that you are sitting with, it can also help you. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about is also the transcription. Now, you had, if you are recording this via your videotape or audio tape, you are going to have to transcribe. But it sounds to me that you already had those field notes, which is quite a remarkable exercise on, from what I'm hearing, that you were writing manually. Now, if you were recording this via audio tape, you are then going to be retrieving this information quickly, because the systems that are there, the softwares that are there, can like AI. Now you see some people are putting in read AI, they record, they do the recording. All you need to do is really to package it in the way that you understand it. So to analyze data it's a process that involves sorting it out and making sure that it makes sense to you. So the last time when we met, we spoke about, condense the data. Not everything that people have spoken about will matter. And because you have already fit it under some thematic areas, it may as well be that maybe that are going to become your themes under which you capture the information. So you identify and depict those general patterns that, all of them talk about policies, legislation, rules, maintenance, all, you may find that there are some similar pattern or some general pattern that is emerging just by looking at all the 20 participants on your spreadsheet, that everybody says we are not sufficiently trained, or we're not qualified, or we are overly qualified, or we are well trained, and so forth and so forth. So that's what I'm hearing you saying in the main around the how you're going to analyze it. But again, there's no harm in you approaching a qualitative, a person who's comfortable with software, to just spread that information for you, because as I said, you're going to have to capture participant 1, and that is going to be 20 questions and 20 answers. At some point, some of these answers may be similar, but for you to get there, you need to have had that information captured first of all. So I think that to me is going to be a huge challenge, but very enjoyable, painful, yes, but you're probably going to enjoy working on it because you'll be sitting with it now. But also the acknowledgement of your own weaknesses, that it is very difficult, and you need to note that you are taking notes by hand which on its own has got its own weaknesses. Because as a researcher, one of the responsibility that we put on researchers is that they need to acknowledge limitations, because it's just to show another researcher that, you know, this is how I followed it. You might be following a different methodology, therefore, you know, which might be much more convenient, easier, and so on. Then the hand notes has got the limitation in that you may not necessarily be able to capture everything else. So maybe you are using shorthand, not necessarily the full sentences. Again, that may, you know, maybe on its own have its own limitation. You have to acknowledge that. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it, but you just need to realize that I may, when I follow your methodology, I may use the same, but when it comes to writing down, maybe I may have some challenges. So in that regard, it is important to just acknowledge it again as a researcher. Any comment, any question thus far? You know, we were trying to connect the work that Chinani is doing, because he's now moving into analysis, to say, yes, you will get to analysis eventually, but let's just look at where we are in terms of the process to get to analyzing it. But at the same time, remember we said, if it's collected, is not analyzed, and is not integrated, there's no use. It's not, the information is not meaningful for that. So let me pause here and allow you to engage. Jacqueline, I know we spoke the last time. What is your comment today?
I have a question, because I think I'm contemplating, because I would like to interview 12 participants with 12 questions. And as she was talking, that hers was, did she say 20 people? Yeah,
20 and 12 questions.
Yeah. I'm thinking it might be a lot of work. So I want to know if I may have like 6 questions for 12 people. Would it be enough?
Yes, the number of questions, remember, can be depending. Okay, let me come back to you first. You are doing qualitative, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so because you're doing qualitative, you may then want to have fewer, because remember, you can have structured or unstructured. So you may say, I'm just going to ask each one of them. I've got 6 questions that I'm going to ask, right? As a starting point. But you can, if you have got a unstructured, you may end up asking 4 questions, because 1 question can be asked and somebody is telling me enough that I don't have to ask all 6, simply because I've got 6. And I use this example. I don't know when last some of you have gone to, you know, those interviews where they ask you, tell us about yourself. You know, the panel throw that question and they say, please tell us about yourself. Some people will start on where they were born, when they were born, which primary schooling they went to, secondary schooling, and so on, where they started working, and all the way building it up. But somebody can just start, you know, other people start at where they started working, you know, so that's, now this person can start from the beginning of where they were born, the mother, the fathers, and the family, and everything else. By the time you get to this person get to the work experience, the qualification, and everything else, they've actually given you a lot more. That all you may want to do now is to follow up on the questions, you know, that you had already built, because you may then say, oh, I hear you said you went to, because now you're looking at what is it that you were meant to ask next. For example, if you wanted to know whether the person is qualified for the job, you may say, oh, I hear that you went to this institution and you studied this. Do you want to elaborate more on that? What are you saying? You're actually guiding this person to say, now I'm looking at, you know, a qualification or skill or competency related question as well. But they may already have said so. You know, I studied this in 1998. and I started working at this place. This is what I was doing. So they're already sharing with their experience. And if in there you've got an experience question that may be related to what you want to ask, you may then say, oh, I hear this is where you work at some point. How long did you work for, and do you want to elaborate on that? Because you've got that as a set of questions, but you don't necessarily have to go back and say, yeah, but now please tell me, because when you ask people about things that they've already said and you don't acknowledge them, it's almost like you've not been listening. Am I helping you there, Jacqueline?
Yes, sir.
So you may want to reduce. I would always say, for a qualitative study, 12 questions is quite a lot, because remember, you have to record what they're saying. So it's not a yes or a no. It's almost like people talking. And when people talk, sometimes they pause. And those pauses is part of the observation. Why is this person all of a sudden pausing? Or why are they, that there's non-verbal situation, children are crying in the background, or you are there and now they want you to stop the recording because they've got something urgent to attend to. All those matter in the context of your interview. But then at the same time, if you're sitting with an individual and you're going to sit in front of that person, you may find that if you're going to ask 12 questions, it's quite a lot, because there is also an element where people lose interest at the end of the day, and they feel like, oh no, this is too much, because remember, this is your study and they are participating in your study voluntarily, so they are not obliged to really answer you, so they are actually just doing it because they are on your list of participants.
Okay. And I think that's what I'm scared of.
Sorry?
I'm saying that I think that's what I'm scared of, that I will be asking people during work days, and then people will be busy, so there won't be enough time for them to answer those 12 questions.
Yeah, no, I think 6 questions should be enough. But also, if a person has answered your question, because remember, you also have to have an issue of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you are going to be working on, let's say, a minimum of 45 minutes, and the person has really dealt with your question in 30 minutes, it's not wrong to do so, but you may then, invite that same person to say what else they want to say over and above what you've asked them. Because remember, you also have flexibility to say, is there anything else that you feel you need to tell me for my study, isn't it? Because now you've got just about 15 minutes, but you may also have situation where somebody takes more than 45 minutes in one interview. So that's why you need to have a range that is 45 to, say, an hour. But anything beyond 1 hour is long, especially in the context that you are referring to, where people are either at work or at home. They had a long day. Now, when you keep them for more than it's necessary, they start losing interest. And you don't want, as a researcher, to be the first one to be told, I think we are done here. You are the one who should really indicate that we are done. I'm done on my side. Or you can also say, well, if you know that I've got one more question and we'll be done, then people feel comfortable that, oh, it looks like we are coming to an end. You also, in your intro, you can indicate that I don't mean to take much of your time. You can contract at the beginning 45 minutes, and he says, yeah, no, that's fine. Now, if you agree on 45 minutes, you may then want to do 45 minutes. It is not right, as for you as a researcher, to say, oh, if I get 45 minutes, I'll do an hour. This is something that you should be mindful of. But it is always advisable that as a researcher, you need to be on top of your game. So if you walk home and you are going to interview somebody at home, right now you may find that people are glued up on TV So you are taking them from the something that they may like. So you need to be respectful to that and say, I don't mean to take much of your time, and so on and so on. But this is very, very important. Now, timing of your interviews is also very, very important. But I would say 45 minutes, in 45 minutes, you should get all what you need in a qualitative study. Also, the recording, a 45 minutes recording is quite long if you are going to record, but it's worse if you are going to follow Chinane's approach of writing down. To write down a 45, you may want just, reams and reams of paper as well. But remember also, as you write, you must not lose sight of the fact that you need to maintain some level of respectful eye contact. Because if you start writing and a person starts playing on their phone, checking their WhatsApps, it could also not be helpful to you as a researcher. Does it help a bit, Jacqueline?
It helps.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Is there anybody who's got a question that they want to ask before we close today's session? With quantitative data analysis, really we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, because I think from what I'm picking up is that most of you are more into qualitative, but at the same time, if you're doing quantitative, you may want to make use of some of the students who are very good with, your mathematics or statistics, people with statistics 101 would be able to help you as well. Now, here we are looking at descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, regression analysis, analysis of variance, chi-square, test and factor analysis. But we'll deal with this as we deal with them. But for me, what I wanted us to really take home today is that when you're going to sit and do analysis, just remember to be truthful and honest with it, because you are going to make conclusions on the findings that are informed by the data that you collected from participants. Not necessarily, not even information that you yourself, you've got interest, you've got subjective interest on. So therefore, it's important to be guided as a qualitative researcher by the data that is at your disposal. And of course, that is why we say if you can do qualitative study first, you are then able to develop a quantitative study, because now you've got a baseline, where you can start building your questionnaires on. So that then, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our data analysis discussion. Please feel free, if you want us to go back to it, we will. But for now, I think this then takes care of the process of analysis of data. Thank you very, very much. Let me hand over this session back to Godfrey.